taking on the man who beat him to the Olympic 10,000 metre title last year, Selimon Barega, who is on his shoulder. All three medalists from last year are in first, second and third, but they're in a different order. Is that how they will finish? Brilliant images just off the camera shot there. The Ethiopian and Kenyan flags flying high here in the stadium, as well as those from Uganda. The three proud East African nations well represented in the crowd. I've just seen a Ugandan flag. This could develop, Hannah, into one of the great 10,000 metre races.
Good performance there from Mburo after that early fall and getting tangled up. He's managed to stick with his teammates. All three Kenyans up there, Kemoi, Mateko and Mburo. The highest finisher was Mateko with Kemoi with 7th place in the Tokyo Olympics. And that would have been devastating for Kenya as a nation. They love to compete at the front of these 10,000 metre races, these endurance races. It's part of their culture and they're so proud. And to see those three Kenyan men up there, could they be working together? Could they be motivating each other to try and live with this pace that's been set by the world record holder? 76, so they've eased off a tiny bit from that 64-second lap, and it's just allowed the rest of these athletes back into the field. But Grant Fisher was going to be the only man that was going to live with this hot pace from that second pack, but just a slight foot off the gas, ever so slightly, for Joshua Cheptegei has just concertinaed this group back together. And every lap that goes by that's outside of that 63-64, Solomon Barega is going to be thinking, thanks very much. Do you remember my sprint finish from Tokyo? If not, you're going to see it in a few laps' time.
I think this race might be beginning to play into the hands of Selimon Barega. Good running by Fisher, who, remember, is 7th on the all-time list. Ahmed just behind him has won medals over the 5,000 in the last two global races in Doha and in Tokyo. Cheptegei still leads. Gressier coming wide on the outside. Cameras focusing in on the other two Americans who are still in that group. Only 6 laps to go now. The world champion leads from the Olympic champion. But this has slowed a fraction. We weren't necessarily expecting this. Now, there are slight question marks with Joshua Cheptegei. He's one of the greats. He's the finest distance runner Uganda has ever produced, arguably alongside Stephen Kiprotich, who won the marathon in 2012. But we've only really seen him on the track once this year when he ran that 12:57. And there are plenty of men in the field who've gone quicker, and there are a lot of athletes queuing up behind the world record holder and the world champion, including the Olympic champion. This looks to me like it's beginning to play into the hands of Selimon Barega. 53.9, remember. That was the run, and that was the acceleration that took him to the Olympic title last year in Tokyo, and he is tracking every move. He's like an unwanted shadow on the shoulder of Joshua Cheptegei, and he looks comfortable, the Ethiopian, in 2nd place.
Solomon Barega looks full of running. Look at that move from Isaac Kameli there. Has he been inspired by Bashir Abdi's bronze medal this morning in the marathon? That's the highest that we've seen Isaac Kameli so far. So proficient over cross-country, European cross-country championships. He's picked up medals left, right and centre. From Belgium just gliding up into the top 5, perhaps thinking as they've moved through 2 kilometres to go, he wants to get this race moving. He's got to. Grant Fisher navigating this so well. Klecker beat him in the USA Championships with a fantastic kick. But kicking at your national championships is not the same as kicking at a world championships. Joshua Cheptegei knows that. Barega knows that. It's great to see Tadase Worku, the young Ethiopian, just keeping himself in contact there. Could he convert a world junior medal into a senior medal here? But the Kenyan trio just seem to be really asserting themselves in the middle of this pack. They're really keen to make sure they can live with the attacks from Uganda and from Ethiopia. This is a huge pack. They have 1 mile to go, and everybody is still in it. Everybody, and some other people we wouldn't have expected to be here at this stage.
Just inside 4 laps to go in the final of the men's 10,000 metres. The world champion and world record holder Joshua Cheptegei leads, but he has an awful lot of athletes queuing up behind him, and he's just had a little glimpse over his shoulder, and he will have seen the Olympic champion Selimon Barega. Isaac Kameli, the former Kenyan representing Belgium, is there. Rogers Quemoy coming up on the outside. He was 7th in the Olympic final last year. Mburu was just blocked on the curve there, and now there are 1 or 2 running wide on the outside as Joshua Cheptegei begins to start this long drive for home. I think he's recognised that he's got to get rid of some of the athletes in this group, and he's put a noticeable injection of pace together.
So the previous lap was 67. Has Joshua Cheptegei significantly lifted his pace? You'd think the way this group is shuffling around would suggest that something's happening down there, that pace is lifted. Everybody's desperately looking for position. Keep your eye on Aragari of Ethiopia. 64 seconds, that's what we thought might have happened. But Aragari on the outside, he's a phenomenal 5,000 metre runner. He's a second Ethiopian in the pack, and he's quietly making moves to stay involved. He's got a super sprint finish. Could he be one to watch out for as well?
Aragawi still in that group. Jacob Kiplimo is there. Fisher, Klecker for the first time, allowing a little bit of a gap to open up. And they're all starting to jostle for position. We've lost one of the Ethiopians. Tadesse Worku, the world junior champion, is in that little group just to the right-hand side. There's furious jockeying for position going on here. And Barega now leads Mburu. What a story it would be if he won after falling on the first lap. Barega leads. Mburu in second. Aragawi coming up. Cheptegei's got himself a little bit boxed. Diva of Great Britain quite rightly moving on the outside, and Stephen Kieser will have to do that soon. He doesn't realise the pack are coming, and he's about to get swamped.
Getting super congested down there. 3 laps to go, 63. So they've gone 64, 63, and they've got just 2 laps to go. All of these men are jostling for position. There's a lot of 5,000 metre specialists down there. Mo Ahmed doing well to hold on near the back there. The Canadian just up the inside of his teammate Grant Fisher. They train together. But Aragawi, he holds the world record for 5,000 metres on the road. Took that record from Joshua Cheptegei, who's just trying to get himself back round the outside of this group. It is only 600 metres to go. Solomon Barega in Tokyo last year, he put in a spurt at the bell, got a gap on the 2 Ugandans, and they could not get back on terms with him. Just 5,000 metres to go. The tactics are going to come down to the wire in this men's 10,000 metres.
Inside the last 500 metres. This is a huge group of hugely talented men, and take a second to listen to the noise. It's deafening here at Hayward Field. Who is going to create history? This is the stadium where they say, feel the glory. Any one of these men could win it. You're watching a very, very special race here. Cheptegei, the world champion, the defending champion, driving for glory for Uganda. They'll be on their feet in Jinja, in Kampala, but they're also on their feet in Addis Ababa. Aragawi hasn't been burnt off yet. Barega's in second. Cheptegei opens up a metre. The crowd are roaring for Grant Fisher. No Americans ever won a medal in this race. Cheptegei, the world champion. Can he win it again? Last year, he was burnt up by Solomon Barega. But the champion from Doha is the champion once again. Here in Eugene. Cometh the hour, cometh the Ugandan. That is the best performance we've ever seen from Joshua Cheptegei. He was under so much pressure. Barega has had a great season. Last year, it was a 53-second last lap that cost Joshua Cheptegei the gold. This year, it's Cheptegei who's run 53.4, and that is why he is now a multiple world champion over 10,000 metres. They threw everything at him in that race, and just as he found in Doha, he had the answers. It hasn't been a perfect season, but it's been the perfect finish. I've never heard a noise like it on the last lap of a 10,000 metres. This world championship is delivering again and again and again, and Joshua Cheptegei is the champion of the world and the toast of a proud nation on the other side of the world.
Fantastic first and third for Uganda. And what about that silver medal for Kenya, with Stanley Mburo taking a tumble in the first 200 metres and fighting all the way back for that silver medal, celebrating there with his teammates. Ethiopia had that gold medal with Ntesabet Gide and with Tamarit Tola in the men's marathon this morning, and Barega not able to reproduce that Olympic winning form. And it's almost as though Joshua Cheptegei has spent the last 11 months thinking, how did I lose that Olympic title? I need to train in a way that can allow me to beat Barega. And in doing that, he's replicated an even better final lap than Barega turned on him in Tokyo. And through doing that, has burnt off the rest of the field, got himself a fantastic gold medal. Different nation from Gide, but similar in the way that Joshua Cheptegei, you're kind of going, does he have the sprint finish? You know, that's always been maybe his Achilles heel. Until this point, Joshua Cheptegei must have been dreaming of this moment for so many months. I love seeing these men just flat out sprinting down the home straight. And I'd love to see a replay and just pick apart where people position themselves in that last 500 metres, because you give away time, you give away metres, and it can really come back at you.
Well, I've rarely heard noise like it for a 10,000 metres, especially outside the African continent. Dan O'Brien, I'm not quite sure where you are in this stadium, but wherever you were positioned, surely you would agree the noise and the atmosphere for the end of that race was utterly breathtaking.
Yeah, guys, I have to absolutely agree with you. I'm proud of the American crowd here. Everybody was on their feet with 6 laps to go. And after the race finished, it was standing ovations all around, Rob. We've been waiting all championships to hear that sound, that big crowd sound. And that last lap at the 10,000 meters absolutely produced it. I talked to a number of people who had tickets and said they just came here this morning to see the 10,000 meters. And that only happens in the United States, here in Eugene, Oregon.
Great analysis there from Dan O'Brien. And what a great performance from Cheptegei and Kiplimo.
Gary Lough there on your screen, coach to Bashir Abdi, picked up that bronze medal this morning, applauding the rest of this field. Brilliant medals. Hard fought race. This is earlier on. We saw how Carlos Mayo took the field through the first couple of kilometres, but it wasn't long before the Ugandan athletes wanted to get the pace moving. Kiplimo, the first athlete, the half marathon specialist, just to try and stretch this field out. But as we moved through the Belmont there was still 10 athletes or so involved. We thought it was fantastic last year when we had 7 athletes sprinting for the medals in Tokyo. There was even more here in Eugene at these World Championships.
Do you know what was so fascinating about that? It felt to me, and to you I think, as though the race was beginning to play into the hands of Selemon Barega. But at this point here, Barega had a chance to come wide on the outside, but he just didn't quite have enough this time. And Grant Fisher, coming through on the inside, a whisker away from becoming the first American to win a medal in this event, but he replicates Galen Rupp's 4th place finish from Moscow, and that was quite some winning margin in the end for Jacob Kiplimo. What a race. Joshua Cheptegei. Kiplimo with the bronze, replicating his 3rd behind his teammate in Tokyo, and Mbura recovering from falling to take the silver medal. Barega, the Olympic champion, down in 5th, with Ahmed just behind him in 6th, and Aragawi, the very fast man who won the Eugene 5,000 here in the summer, he was 7th. Let's see this again. Barega had the chance, but he just, on this occasion, unlike Tokyo, he just didn't quite have the gas. Joshua Cheptegei did, and that was a brilliant way in which to celebrate a successful title defence.
And what a rematch we're going to have. We see so many of these men later on in the week in the 5,000 metres. And the likes of Mo Ahmed, Al-Ghawi just falling off the pace in the final 100 metres there over these 25 laps, but 12 and a half, and much more their bread and butter internationally. But they'll have one Jakob Ingebrigtsen person to contend with in that 5,000 metres if he can safely navigate the 1,500 first and the opening round of the 5,000. You'd think they've got to go fast in that if they've got someone with sub 3:30, 1,500 metre pace. But the events here, all the way from that women's hammer throw, the high quality, the high level of competition there, to 25